Hey everyone, on this episode of Don't Get Screwed, I'm going to show you how I saved a client from making a $5,000 mistake when buying a used car. I recently had a young car shopper with a budget of about $14,000 hire me to do a deal review on a 2016 Lexus ES that he had found on Facebook Marketplace. A deal review is where I take a look at both the car and all the numbers to see, is it a good car and is it a good fair deal? Well, this one actually surprised me. He had found this 2016 Lexus ES350 with about 159,000 miles on it. The miles are kind of high, but hey, it's a glorified Toyota. So in theory, if it's been well cared for, it should be reliable and it should last. The first thing I did was take a look at the ad for the car. The pictures look decent. They're a little bit far away, so they don't show a lot of detail. But it looks like it's a decently clean car. So the next thing I did was go look at the Carfax report. The Carfax report for this Lexus looked very promising. It didn't have any accidents in the history, 2 previous owners that were personal vehicles. I also like that the car lived in Maryland, so the risk of rust is a lot lower than if it had been in, say, Pennsylvania or New York or Michigan. I also liked that it had a pretty decent maintenance history. It's always great to see documented maintenance history, especially at a dealership or a good, reliable shop. The car had also been certified pre-owned between the first and second owners. The second owner also did most of their maintenance at that Lexus dealership, and they did it on a very regular basis. So in theory, the car should be in really good shape because it was well maintained. I did see a couple of things like the sunroof being replaced or repaired. Maybe that was just the seals around the sunroof started to leak. Some trim was repaired. So these are some things I wanted to look at in a little bit more detail. But I like that the serpentine belt had been replaced, and just in general that it had very, very regular maintenance every 5,000 miles at the dealership. This is the type of thing that you really want to look for when you're shopping for a used car, especially in the under $20,000 price range. But this is just the first step. I recommended to my client that we get a pre-purchase inspection from the Lemon Squad, especially since he wasn't able to go look at the car and test drive it himself because he lived a couple hours away. So that's what my client decided to do, and boy, were we glad. The car was just not in as good a shape as one would expect it to be, having been religiously maintained at a Lexus dealership. We found the wiper blades were torn, there was wear to the seats, scratches everywhere, chips in the grille. There were just cosmetic issues all over the car. However, the thing that worried me the most, there is a noticeable slip when shifting from first to second gear in the transmission. Not something I ever expected to see on a car with such great documented maintenance. And I was also disappointed in the cosmetic condition. There were a lot of scratches and dings. And granted, that can happen to a car, especially a black one, as it gets old. But the rocker panel was completely torn, and it had a lot of scratches underneath the vehicle, indicating that it had probably been off-roading at some point. And then there was the interior. These inside door panels all had scratch marks that clearly indicated that a dog had ridden in the car. And the rear seats were very badly stained, and there were stains and discolorations in the headliner. And interestingly enough, the car had a tow hitch installed. So here's my theory about this car. It was probably owned by a young professional in the DC area who had to commute every day to work in stop-and-go traffic. That can be harder on the transmission. I'm guessing the tow hitch was probably for a bike rack, and they like to take their dog with them everywhere they went. So even though they religiously maintained the car mechanically, not so much cosmetically. But the biggest worry with this car is the transmission. I was really surprised to see that because it was maintained exactly per the manufacturer's recommended schedule at the dealership. So the transmission fluid should have been changed. Here's my theory on that. The 2016 Lexus ES has a sealed transmission, and this was back in the day when the manufacturers were trying to say, oh, it's a lifetime fluid.
That's bullshittery.
There is no such thing as a lifetime fluid. So unfortunately, what should have been a very good, reliable used car
Woohoo!
is a huge risk. Had my client purchased this car without getting this inspection and the deal review, he could have had a failed transmission and cost him another $5,000. And this is why a pre-purchase inspection is so critical and why I preach it. Because the car can look great on paper, but it can be hiding some very serious issues. So always get a pre-purchase inspection. And if you want to learn my secrets to buying a cheap used car and everything that I look at, the 30 different variables that I look at on a Carfax report, check out my new online mini course, How to Buy a Cheap Used Car Without Getting Screwed. So if you are shopping for an inexpensive used car, which sadly means anything under $20,000 these days, definitely be careful and get that pre-purchase inspection. Spending a few $100 today can save you thousands down the road. Thanks for watching and drive safely, everyone.